No one saw him before the first leap. Legend says the Mega Knight wasn't created. He was awakened from darkness, from blood, and from pain. Some say he's just a card in a game. Others know better. They've heard him in the quiet hours, when their phones lie silent. They felt the tremors of his approach. Long before the royal arena existed, when the lands were still shrouded in medieval mystery, a sinister blacksmith named Morgan lived in the Shadow Kingdom. Few ventured to his domain, a valley perpetually shrouded in mist, where sunlight never fully penetrated. Morgan was no ordinary craftsman. While others forged plowshares and swords, he practiced forgotten arts, the forbidden craft of forging living armor, metal that could think, metal that could hunger, metal that could hate. The rulers of neighboring kingdoms banned such practices after the Golem Wars, but Morgan continued in secret, hidden within his mountain fortress. His workshops echoed with strange sounds, not just the ring of hammer on anvil, but whispers and moans, as metal was infused with essence. Morgan was consumed by a single obsession that drove him to madness, to create a warrior that could never die, a perfect soldier for kingdoms that had long ceased to exist. For 30 years, he collected artifacts of terrible power from across the realm. He stole the still beating heart of the last mountain giant, preserved in ancient magic, the bones of a hellish barbarian, said to be unbreakable even in death, and for its soul, he extracted the screaming essence of dark elixir itself, a substance not meant for mortal hands. Travelers reported strange lights from his mountain workshop. Villagers spoke of animals found crushed beneath impossible weight. The ground itself seemed to groan in protest at whatever Morgan was attempting to create. Night after night, Morgan hammered his creation into form. A massive suit of armor, terrifying in its perfection. The helmet, shaped like a crown of nightmares, with eyes that seemed to hold emptiness itself. The shoulder plates, large enough to crush a man beneath their weight. The gauntlets, designed not to protect, but to destroy whatever they touched. But despite all his forbidden knowledge, despite sacrificing everything to his obsession, the warrior would not awaken. The armor stood silent in the center of his forge, an empty vessel waiting for something Morgan could not provide. The old scrolls spoke of a final ingredient. The locals whispered, something Morgan was afraid to use, something that would complete the ritual but doom the creator. Among Morgan's few apprentices was a boy named Leo, an orphan with quick hands and a quicker mind. Morgan had found him starving in a village ravaged by war, and brought him to the mountain, not out of kindness, but because small fingers could reach places his could not. Leo feared his master, but was also fascinated by him. While other children played with wooden swords, Leo learned to fold metal until it screamed. He learned which metals sang together and which fought each other. He learned that some metals remembered what they once were. One cold winter night, while Morgan slept, exhausted from another failed ritual to animate his creation, Leo crept into the forbidden chamber. He'd been warned never to enter alone, on pain of tortures, Morgan described in loving detail. But curiosity is a powerful force in a child's heart. The moonlight filtered through high windows, reflecting off the black metal of the dormant armor. It stood 3 times the height of the boy, a giant waiting to awaken. Something about it called to Leo, perhaps curiosity, perhaps destiny, perhaps the armor itself reached out with invisible tendrils. Leo approached the silent giant, his small frame reflected in the polished black surface. The metal seemed to hum as he drew closer, a sound felt rather than heard. The boy reached out one small hand and touched the helmet's cold surface. What happened next, no living soul witnessed, but the mountain shook that night with such violence that villages miles away reported crockery falling from shelves and livestock fleeing in terror. Only the leap, only the impact, only the crushing weight of inevitability, and each leap, a funeral for someone who didn't yet know they were dead. When Morgan rushed to his workshop, he found only destruction, walls torn asunder, tools melted into puddles. The armor was gone. Of Leo, nothing remained but a small handprint, burned into the stone floor, the handprint of a child, dissolved into black metal. Some say, if you listen carefully in the mountains near the Shadow Kingdom, you can still hear a child crying. Others say it's the sound of metal, remembering what it once was. That night, the creature took its first leap, and the Shadow Kingdom experienced its first tremor of the fear that would soon engulf it. 7 villagers died, found crushed beneath circular indentations that defied explanation. Morgan barricaded himself in what remained of his workshop. Those who dared approach reported hearing him ranting about the final ingredient and the sacrifice I wouldn't make. 3 days later, he emerged, his hair turned white, carrying a sealed letter, which he entrusted to a messenger. The letter, addressed to the king, contained only these words: "What walks is not armor, but a tomb. The boy is inside. The boy is the armor. May the gods forgive me." Morgan was found dead the next morning, his body crushed beneath an impact that left a perfect circle in the earth. Several years passed. The strange events at Morgan's Forge became nothing more than whispered rumors, the kind of stories told to frighten children. The king who received Morgan's warning letter had died, his successor more concerned with border disputes than with legends of living armor. Until the incidents at Arena 13, once a proud training ground for the kingdom's elite warriors, Arena 13 had fallen into disuse after the Great War. Too remote from the capital, too costly to maintain, but resourceful commanders faced with training quotas and limited resources began using it to train young recruits away from prying eyes. Commander Thorne, a veteran of 3 campaigns, was the first to report something amiss. His evening patrol found the training dummy destroyed, not cut or burned, as might be expected from normal practice, but crushed from above with such force that the stone floor beneath it had cracked. Could be a prank, his lieutenant suggested. The veteran warriors playing jokes on the new recruits. Thorne might have believed that, had he not seen the fear in the eyes of his most seasoned fighters. No one claimed responsibility. No one had seen anything. Then the disappearances began. First, a young scout named Ellen, known for her keen eyesight and silent movement, to then 2 swordsmen, who had been practicing late, then 5 recruits, all vanished during a night patrol. Those they managed to find were barely recognizable, crushed beneath impossible weight. The air around their bodies smelled of ash and metal. Some survived long enough to whisper about a shadow that fell from above. It makes no sound until it lands. One dying soldier gasped, and then, "It's too late to run." The king dispatched his royal investigator, a man known only as Corvus, famed for his logical mind and disbelief in superstition. Corvus lasted 2 nights at Arena 13 before requesting permanent reassignment. His report, sealed by royal decree, mentioned only something that should not exist, and a leap that defies natural law. The king ordered Arena 13 sealed forever, but before its gates closed for the final time, Corvus insisted on installing one of the kingdom's rare security devices, a mechanical eye that could capture images on treated parchment. On the final night, the device triggered, a silhouette in armor weighing a ton. He didn't run, he didn't walk, he leaped, and with each leap, only shadow remained. The footage showed a massive armored figure, moving with impossible speed despite its bulk. It would stand motionless, as if listening for something only it could hear. Then it would crouch slightly, gathering tension like a coiled spring, before launching upward with terrifying force. When it landed, nothing beneath it survived. Most disturbing of all, the helmet, with its crown-like shape, seemed to contain two glowing points, where eyes should be, eyes that looked directly at the mechanical device, as if aware it was being watched. The last frame showed the figure leaping directly toward the camera. The device was found crushed the next morning. Here the story takes a stranger turn. Some say coincidence, others, destiny. But in 2016, as Supercell's developers researched concepts for powerful new cards, lead designer Jonas Coulter discovered an ancient archive containing Corvus's sealed report and the damaged images from Arena 13. What they saw terrified them, but also fascinated them. The perfect concept for their game's new legendary card, an armored juggernaut that could leap into battle and crush all beneath it. But as they studied the images, strange incidents began occurring at Supercell headquarters, computers activating at night, running simulations of impact physics, security cameras capturing brief glimpses of a large shadow where no person stood, the strange smell of ash and metal in sealed rooms. Technical analysis of the ancient images revealed something impossible. The armor moved without anyone inside it, and it seemed to feed on the energy of battle itself, growing stronger with each impact, each death. The development team made a fateful decision. They couldn't destroy it. Nice, so they would contain it, not with walls or chains, but with code. Why do you sometimes hear strange sounds in the game that aren't part of any sound effect library? Why does Mega Knight emerge from Elixir with a roar that feels too real, too pained? Because he is there, and he is waiting. The original artist assigned to design the Mega Knight quit unexpectedly, leaving only a note. It already exists. I'm just tracing what I see in my dreams. The prototype wasn't pixelated. It wasn't designed. It was real. Each time Clash Royale launches, it creates a portal, a containment field, disguised as entertainment. The creature's energy, channeled into virtual battles. Every Mega Knight card played strengthens the seal that keeps him trapped between dimensions. But the seal weakens when the game is closed. They say Jonas Coulter never plays the game himself. They say he keeps his phone in a lead-lined box. They say he still hears the sound of leaping in his dreams. A player from Japan, known online as Dark Samurai 94, once attempted something dangerous. He tried to delete the Mega Knight from his account. He posted his intentions on a private forum, claiming the card felt wrong, and watched him even when he wasn't playing. I sometimes see the helmet in my screen's reflection, he wrote, even when the game is closed, even when my phone is off. It's waiting for me to look away. Forum members urged him to reconsider, but Dark Samurai 94 was determined. It's just a card, he replied. It's just data. I'm going to delete it from my account and prove there's nothing supernatural happening. His final post contained only a screenshot of his finger hovering over the delete button, then silence. The next day, his roommate found him clutching his shattered phone, lying beside a gravitational dent in the floor. Before he lost consciousness, he whispered the same phrase over and over. Don't jump. Please don't jump. Doctors found nothing physically wrong with him, yet he never woke up. His brain activity shows only one pattern, the rhythm of something heavy, landing again and again. Players have reported strange occurrences when using the Mega Knight card too frequently. Shadows glimpsed from the corner of the eye, the sensation of heavy footsteps when home alone, the feeling of being watched through your own device. A player in Brazil claimed his Mega Knight card would activate itself, launching battles without being touched. A child in Canada drew pictures of the Metal Man who lives in mommy's phone. A tournament player in South Korea swore that during a championship match, the Mega Knight turned to look directly at him through the screen. Supercell officially denies all such reports. Their public statement calls them urban legends and the natural result of players' immersion in the game world. But privately, Employees follow strict protocols. No testing of the Mega Knight card after midnight. No saying its name 3 times in succession. And most importantly, no questioning why the card's data cannot be altered, even by the game's creators. The next time you see your Mega Knight leap, remember, it's not just an animation, it's a memory. It's a living fragment of the arena, sealed within the game. Each impact a echo of what happened to Leo, to the soldiers of Arena 13, to Dark Samurai 94. Some say if you listen closely through your headphones when Mega Knight lands, you can hear the faint sound of a child crying. Others claim the armor grows slightly different each time it appears in an update, evolving, learning, testing its prison. A theory gaining traction among the game's most dedicated players suggests that the Mega Knight isn't trapped at all, that it stays willingly, feeding on the emotional energy of millions of players, that each battle makes it stronger, that it's waiting for something. Physics professors at MIT published a curious paper noting that the gravitational anomalies reported near players using the Mega Knight card follow a mathematical progression. If the pattern continues, they calculate that in approximately 5 years, the anomalies would be strong enough to tear a hole in space-time itself. The paper was retracted 3 days later. The professors could not be reached for comment. Supercell's next update includes a curious line in its patch notes: reinforced containment parameters for certain legendary cards. They never specify which ones. As for you, the player, the one reading this warning, check your phone. Is it slightly warmer than it should be? Do you sometimes hear the sound of metal scraping against metal when no one's around? Have you noticed small circular indentations in the ground that weren't there before? One day he might not return to the game. He might remain in your world.